Hello, hello, hello. Well, if it isn't essentials.tf and guys have just turned in right in time for another cracking display of ETF2L 6v6 season 51. Yay, woo, yay, let's go, yay. Anyway, it is week 6. Oh, sorry, I should say week 7, the match week 7, but it's week 5. But week 6 is next week, but they're playing week 7 now because week 5 is just allowing them so they can get to that final week where they get to play the LAN. And it's also confusing. But fortunately, I've got not Stephen in here, math expert, to help me out with all the weeks. Stephen, you know what's going on with the weeks, right?
Okay, we don't call them weeks, they're rounds, okay? It says in the ETF2L post, they're rounds now. But, the website says weeks because it's an old website. But, yeah, this is round 7 for these teams. Okay. They are playing in that compressed 5-week format. Looking forward to Poland.tf, I'm sure most of these teams, right?
So, all these teams have played all the previous rounds?
Maybe.
Okay, that's a lie. You lied, right? Just
no,
there, right
yeah.
there. I'm looking at the pages right now. I set you up, and yeah, you were a big fat lie. But yes, this is a much more loosey-goosey form of ETF2L right now, just to have and deal with the horizon of that Poland.tf, which, by the way, you should totally, start donating if you want to see TF2's land scene keep flourishing and growing, and maybe we might even get a stage for you guys if we conjure up enough coins. Anywho, I'm TurboTamps. I'm obviously joined in the lobby with math expert, not Stephen. I've also got Beta here, caster extraordinaire, smushed into the production desk, as he is going to be covering all the pictures and sounds that you're going to be seeing tonight. And tonight, it's going to be Kek Minion Samurai versus the Sopranos. How many Soprano memes have we learned so far, Stephen?
I've actually learned 0. I've never seen the movie.
Oh.
Wait, is there a TV show? I don't even know.
Oh, what do you hear? What do you say? But nonetheless, we do have the Sopranos and Max Squad playing off against tonight. It's going to look like it's going to be a Bagel map 1. I haven't quite got who's picking what map so far. I'm going to desperately try and find it. But can you tell me about what's been happening with these two teams this season so far?
Yeah, absolutely. We can go a little into that. So, unfortunately for the Sopranos, a lot of them coming in for their Prem debut here, specifically Happy and Rutu, that I can think off the top of my head here, are having a strugglesome first season. They have so far have not managed to pick up a single point during this season. So, a bit of a struggle for them, but they definitely are the rookies of this season. However, the side of Kek Minion Samurai been doing decently well so far. Did have a bit of a disappointing last game 2 days ago to the Dirty Maggots, which we should have seen on stream. However, taking points off of the likes of Mandem and winning against Joey Guns and Alien Workshop, setting themselves up pretty securely for playoffs, you would have to think.
All right, well, colour me informed as we are going straight into it. It's going to be our first map of Bagel, and it's Kek Minoin Samurai versus the Sopranos. And my God, Happy's already in and he's already out because this was a full start. I baited you. We're actually going to do a little restart, and now we're actually starting for reals. So, what's happening on mid, Stephen?
Yeah, so just rolling out either side, just looking for a little bit of spam point. Obviously takes a little bit to cap of these soldiers, trying to catch any damage onto the medics they but not much happening so far. Just having a little look, these soldiers peeking into the houses is normally what you want to do, see if you can get control over one of these houses. Red team playing it quite deep here on Kek Minion Samurai, sending their scouts over point, getting 6 times on the capture point, nearly going to cap it, but Corey manages to come in and defend that cap just for that little bit much longer. But you have to think it's only a matter of time as the health looking better here on the Kek Minion Samurai. And they're still contesting, I was going to say, the point turns, but no, it does not, as the players here of Happy do manage to contest it for just a second, but they have to back out here as they lose Happy during that foray. He does overextend a tiny little bit, taken out. The point just capped so fast, it doesn't really take too much for these teams to kind of turn things around, but losing your soldier there will, I think, slow down the side of Soprano just for a second.
Yes, it seems Samurai were the masters of just plinking away at the point one by one. Both of these teams showing a lot of respect, but I guess we're in like ETF2L official mode. We're still feeling each other out in the first round. The chaos will probably ensue as we take a direct solo versus solo Uber, proactive the ones of the Sopranos, and again back to the stalemate, back to the kind of steady cam, as we've actually lost so many players in house, and we've got a bit of friend save your friend syndrome here, Stephen, as they just got picked off one by one.
Yeah, trying to contest that left house was Corey, but taken out, followed up by his soldier buddy. Could not defend him enough, and then yeah, they just lose one by one and stagger, and now this has allowed the side of the samurai to set up a forward hold. Looking like they want to try to bust the right-hand side. 2 soldiers in their way here, but they are just muscling their way in onto the Sopranos, taking out the garbage.
Yeah, you gotta give credit to the Sopranos. They did manage to keep both of their soldiers alive, and they're gonna try and see if they can ransack the house a little bit, but we're still playing a bit timid for my liking over on the Sopranos. Happy Gold does go down. He is the most far forward player, and thus he's just gonna take way too much pressure. They pop off Ubers, but it's just a simple exchange, and I think Samurai are very happy with this, because during their Uber, they've still got that capture.
Yeah, no one really contesting things straight away. They lose 1 for 1 in the houses here. Now it's kind of on the Sopranos to try to find an opening, see if they can get a little bit of damage over that point. Still waiting for Happy to roll out, so it is Mac doing a lot of damage to those scouts, but back for a second. Sopranos so close to capping out, but they're not just about able to. Happy is finally here, so they put in a coordinated effort. They should be able to flip one fingers around, but once again, they're just losing a player during this time where they really need to stabilize on the Sopranos.
Yeah, and so they are stabilizing, but it does make me wonder if this is kind of play-to-lose attitude, if pardon my French, Stephen, because we haven't really got too many people going in. You notice how timid the Sopranos are playing. They even get the capture right in front of their eyes, despite all of the Sopranos being up there.
Yeah, they really want to play this game or try to capture the point here, but it's kind of just playing into the minions' hands. They seem to be fighting the damage very effectively and just coming back in and getting the point, and they have so much time advantage, it doesn't really matter if they give up the point 1 or 2 times here. Nice pipe comes in, will drop Flick there, so that's a nice little pick for the side of the Sopranos. Could go a little bit more aggressive with this player advantage here. We'll see what Mac can do. Rolling out now, should be able to help out his squad here, but Sopranos quite happy right now, do have the point, but will it be flipped? A lot of damage from the soldiers from the houses. This is not quite enough, and once more slips into the Samurai's favor. 30 seconds remaining on their clock.
Stephen, have you ever watched a Bagel game so quiet? Like, I'm looking at the top right-hand corner like any good caster and purely casting off of that, and I see nothing. What am I supposed to say if the teleprompter isn't saying anything? Finally, Silvez will go down.
Yeah, so that's a soldier down, right? That's a little bit less pressure now. Soldier's bomb in here onto Mac. A lot of damage. Don't manage to take him down. Will get the nice arrow from Eon to keep himself alive, but Happy!
Oh, happy man, as we will get a kill onto both of these members of the squad. Although Bloke did jump in at the same time. With 2 members going down, that's usually the sign for any Roman to start doing some damage control, and he gets the med pick and even stays alive as well. So they're not only just winning the battle, they're winning the war because they keep their medic alive on Eon.
Yeah, there's a soldier on both sides in on the back. Mac did manage to save his medic for sure destruction. However, Bloke had the number of the Sopranos and did take them out, and that will be honestly quite an easy looking first round going towards the Samurais.
Yeah, this is looking like the kind of Bagel where you kick your feet up and just let the winds come towards you. I can see what the game plan of the Sopranos is. It's just stay alive. They probably had some of those rough games on those scrims where everyone was just feeding their tits off, and now they're trying to keep their tips severely calmed. But now nothing's really happening for the Sopranos, and it's a little sad to see.
Yeah, it's such a passive game they're trying to play, and it feels like when they do try to get aggressive in their houses, they're not really able to do anything. I think maybe you'd like to see them go for some more aggressive bombs, try to take some eyes out of places, try to take the more regimented and known play style the side of the Samurais are going to pull out here, and, you know, try to turn it on the head a little bit, because I feel like if you just keep playing into this game plan of trying to edge cap the point, do a solo scout trade, the team with more experience is going to win. Bloke taking out 2 along with Sills, though.
Yeah, Sills has got the right-hand house locked down. Bloke has the left-hand house cut down as well. The problem I'm seeing here, Stephen, is there's a lot of solo YOLO sort of attempts by these soldiers. They must think they're firing up a good game of MGE, but really this is a team game, and they can probably play with these scouts or kind of do these sort of duo attacks on the houses instead of these single jumps.
You definitely want to lace your flank scout pressure in when you do come in, because, you know, maybe you do 200 damage to a soldier and you get cleaned up, but your scout can at least trade and then you have some pressure, right? It's better than nothing, but if you're just going and play solo bombs, much more likely to die. And look at this, it's an Uber coming out.
No.
But the Uber in response is so much later, and now the medic, he's caught in no man's land. It will be Robert taking down any minute.
Any minute now. There we go. Well, I mean, nice to say that during all the wait time wasted to try and kill Robert, they did get the ending.
Yeah, with this one pick, it might be worth trying to make their way back in here. They do Uber in through this left-hand side, trying to take some sort of tail coming in.
Eon
Managed
drops.
to drop Eon there. That's exactly what they need, as there's only 30 seconds on the clock for the Samurai, and they haven't captured once on the Sopranos.
Yeah.
And they managed to make their way back into this.
Yeah, Eon flicking on hard mode for his team and squad. I guess they want to make things a little bit interesting because they haven't had a single lick of the point so far over on the Sopranos. But hey, haven't they managed to... Oh wait, Mac going in with a nice kind of last second bombing attempt. I don't know who he was trying to attempt at there, but he certainly tried.
Just wanted to go for that little cheeky off timing sack and make sure that his team couldn't push in. You know, they're like, Eon died, maybe we'll let them set up a forward hold here if we can break that. And break it they do as the soldier comes flying in here. The rest of the team going to be backing up and once again going to be losing both soldiers. They can't keep having this happen. They need some spam at least, please.
Very defensive again from the Sopranos. Bloke was in for a moment there, completely on his own. The soldiers went aggressive on the rest of the combo, but everybody else on the Sopranos were busy like watching, I guess, Series 5 because they were just not really playing the game at DF2. As we have another attempt at just kind of tickling the point from Minoin and Samurai. We do pop off Uber, we do get pop off onto Eon as well, and we should be happy with that. Rutu's going to go back into the nestled arms of his combo, and they're going to try and play the point from here.
Yeah, great bomb from Happy, just straight into main, gets onto Eon there. Will lose his life, but it doesn't matter too much if the rest of his team can manage to just keep their medic alive. And it looks like they should be, for now, no soldiers in my peripherals that can be going high, can be going crazy here. So actually, that has turned out really, really well here for the Sopranos. They take down 2. They've still got to wait about another 10 seconds before they can recommit on the side of the minions.
Yeah, this is Minions are being a lot more kind of dropping the ball rather than Sopranos picking up the slack. I think they're getting a bit aggressive. To say that they had no medic, no heals, they still tried to edge the point there with 2 scouts, and they almost paid off as well, but until they kind of just stuck to their fundamentals, and Sopranos kept it blocked, got the chip damage on them. They're going to try and go for some more pick play now. They can't really have this happen because there's only a couple of seconds left on the clock. They pop off Uber in a time when they probably need to start capping the point, and now it's gone into overtime. The post Uber is not the best but not the worst in the world, but the DM just seems to be flexing just that little bit harder for Minion Samurai. Eon has an Uber charge and he's actually going to pop it this time, and well, it is a cross T and a dotted full sentence for Minion Samurai this round.
That was an interesting Uber that just came out. So they lose the point, they're not edging it, the medic's on 97%, and they just don't have a scout on point who should just be aggressive and ready to take the Uber. The medic insta-uses, no one is ready, the demo man is completely unloaded, so Happy can't jump in and assist to do any damage, but gets flashed anyway. You have the world's shortest Uber, your medic ends up on the point, and there's just a soldier ready to collapse, and yeah, they just take it, 0 sweat from the Samurais in the end there.
Well, Stephen, if there was ever a weapon encapsulating disrespect, it would be the Kritzkrieg, and the Kritzkrieg has only been slapped out here for the 3rd and potentially final round of this Bagel map. Let's see if Eon and Mac can cook with this lovely Kritzkrieg. They shouldn't see it coming. I don't think they did any sort of clash check-in, and they actually won the flank over on the right-hand house. They will trade out, but this is a much bigger win than the Sopranos have been seeing all match.
Yeah, Crit does come out, managed to get onto Rutu there, so as you said, were unspotted. Nice pipe by Mac, will take down Robert as well, and it's just decimation of the side of the Sopranos. A couple of stragglers going around behind in houses, but I don't think they're going to get anything. And yeah, that long extended pipe just turned into a Crit's win.
They don't see Bloke hiding around the corner. I say hiding, he was just waiting for an arrow, and he buys enough space, room and distraction to get the pick onto Black, who was kind of just poking his head out for a moment, seeing if he can just keep a forward hold from happening so his team can finally get in. So they're back into the world of the living. They haven't quite got a full 6 man, however, but they're pressuring Bloke out. I'm not really seeing what the play is here. Looks like a big all-in play from Corey, running into the left house, getting immediately meat grinded down, and now they're going to throw in everybody at the kitchen sink to get Eon, and my god, they do get their man.
Yeah, Robert being chased during all of this will go down to Silves, though, so what with a very valiant effort to try to, I don't know, get some sort of advantage, get a med pick, maybe you can snowball effect. It doesn't matter if you just completely leave your med alone to be a single man in spawn. And yeah, I mean, they're going to even out the Ubers, but it's not a particularly good thing. It's already a minute down on the clock of the Samurais, and it has not been the strength thus far of the Sopranos to just be taking things on these even fights.
So far we just have Bloke kind of peppering them, little kind of search rockets to see where they're paying, where they're pushing from. They get the sticky trap kill onto Wooge, and that's an advantage that makes them feel a bit more confident over on Kekman and Samurai. SNH might be overextending himself or might be playing confident. It depends who goes down, and Rutu will go for the Mac trade. That's usually a good trade in all the grand scheme of things. It is a shame that every other aspect has been punished. The houses have been punished, the point has been punished, and the crits are now is going to punish all of the rest of the poor Sopranos. They've been cancelled here live on TF.
That is not what you want to see. A lovely little flip farm coming out from Local with that one. It's exactly what he would have wanted. And yeah, kind of caught a little bit pants down. I think they kind of forgot that Eon was on the crit creep during that, and all just get stuffed into a single corner, and therefore are taken out very, very swiftly. They are trying to get out of this forward hold. No soldiers ready to bomb in this time. Do finally get in. Can they find what they found last time when they got in safely? It doesn't look like they can. Black will lose his life. Rutu should have been surely able to follow up and get that kill, but they are just falling one by one, refusing to walk out of the doorway with their soldiers.
It's got to hurt the soul where they throw one soldier in, the 5 players immediately deal with Wooge, and every other member of Sopranos can't kill Bloke at the door. Like, all 5 players are trying to click on this man, and he still does not go down despite all of this. They're now doing a forward hold here on Bagel, a really innovative gameplay. Mac is very, very much forward and aggressive and still hasn't gone down. Will actually get picked off by the rare Bagel sniper. Usually you don't see sniper on this map because they're just so detached from the game, but they are certainly more than in it over on Kekman Yoi Samurai. They're trying to give them every advantage they can, and yet they still come out winning. They've got the overtime up, they've got their first second of this round on the board, but 3 minutes is a tall order for any team, let alone the Sopranos.
Yeah, they do have full Uber advantage here. Need to be careful with Crits Krieg already on 75%, so could be in play in 10-15 seconds time here for the side of the Samurais. But getting a nice pick onto Bloke in the house is a good start here. If you want to start going aggressive, if you see this medic is really good. Uber's popped onto the dance. Yeah, Happy sends Eon flying here, but he does have a scout to carry him away, and unfortunately, it's a decent Uber. Yeah, all things considered, they do get a lot of space, a lot of pressure, but you really want to get that medic pick. And now Soldier comes in, is going to find some damage onto Robert, but not able to finish up. But Crits Creek, it's out, it's onto Mac. What can Mac find? Nothing on the first shot, but they're getting a lot of cat time during this. Everyone is too scared of the crits to contest. They do get the scout on, but is it too little, too late here for the Sopranos? It's sticky trapped to find a soldier. It's only a scout and a medic left remaining, and Mac is just wreaking havoc.
Yeah, it was a nice Delta split coming out from the Sopranos, I gotta give them credit, but I think the follow-up just wasn't there. Sadly, the best kind of defense is an offense, at least eventually, in the game of TF2, and there was no counter-attack, there was nothing to really punish them after this failed crits, and yeah, it kind of shows this was a very clean and tidy 3-0 for the Kekman Yoi Samurai. I can only assume that this was their map pick. They kept it very, very brief, let's just say, in their match base, so I can't tell you who picked what map, but looking good for Kekman Yoi Samurai, am I right?
Yeah, I mean, they just look dominant on that map. They just look like a team who knew what was going on. I mean, the edge cap was kind of working the best that we saw for the side of the Sopranos during that, and then Edge couldn't quite get into the game, took some not so great trades, just solo scout trade, trying to get things working, and yeah, they disrespect a little bit on Eon, and even when he would do silly things, like drop, or they would do a forward spawn to try to give them some sort of advantage. It just felt like stabilize on the Samurais and easily make their way back into the game. Yeah, I mean, they look like a team who had significantly more points in this season. Say that much.
What do you think of the philosophy they had on Bagel here, Stephen? Obviously, it looked like the theme for the Sopranos was try and keep your medic alive. Just play it safe. Let's not be sorry about this. Let's just keep it very cool, calm, collected, and let's not collect any kills. Like, what is that the sometimes better way to play a TF2? Have we just seen a bad case of it? Is staying alive usually quite valued in a map like Bagel?
I mean, I think Bagel is the map that it matters most to keep your medic alive in the current map pool, possibly. I feel like having Uber Advantage is actually huge on this map. You can actually do a crazy amount with having an Uber Advantage, and we see at the highest level that is what it comes down to a lot. We see a lot of the better teams of Vandem, for example, with Border and June just play so well together and therefore can just dominate Bagel, but it doesn't really matter because it felt like the Sopranos at 2 players down. It felt like those soldiers wanted to go aggressive and do stuff in houses and find those picks and play off the small advantages. Whereas, yeah, Corey and Robert were on the game plan of, oh, we're going to try to get Uber. We're going to try to edge cap. We're going to try to play Happy's damage. But Happy would sometimes overextend and just not have any pressure from houses. And yeah, I don't know. It felt like they were on 2 different wavelengths in that game, unfortunately. Yeah, just didn't work out for them. But either way, the stability and the understanding of the game was very obviously better on the side of the Samurais. They have a lot more names who are more accomplished here. And I just think, yeah, they had the game plan of trying to play a little slower and it worked out better. I feel like I said it during the game, but if they just tried to send in bombs and get aggressive with scouts over the point, like double scouts over the point, they may have had a little more luck, because I think we've seen Eon be a little unaware sometimes, and I think you tried to play off that fact, but they didn't. They tried to play it a little differently, and unfortunately in those last rounds they were just caught off by crits, and there's not much you can do about that sometimes.
Now, we obviously just watched Bagel, but I want to kind of pull and pan the camera back just that little bit further here, Stephen, and talk about the season as a whole. We did talk about that Sopranos haven't managed to find an ETF2L point in the little journey, and is such a thing like for these teams' morale. Can you have it where you're just getting beat down round after round, I should say, and round week. I'm trying to differentiate. We shouldn't call rounds and round weeks, but either way. But you know what I mean? There's a long time of losing in the game of TF2 in this Prem season for the Sopranos. Does it just get you down, or are these players just too adjusted at this point?
I mean, it's not fun, right? But you have to see the writing on the wall. They haven't dropped from the competition, so they know what the gig is by now. They know this was going to be a hard game, and I think they'll just be trying to play their best in these last couple of weeks, see if they can maybe pull up a jaw and upset here, potentially. I was going to say the game's going live, but it looks like we're going to do the configs. I don't know. I don't know any big tilters on the team, particularly on the Sopranos. I don't think anyone is going to be getting too angry or going too crazy here. So I don't think they'll be too much bothered, but I think their expectations have to be low coming into this. Is their last round, right? So it's kind of nothing to lose, I think, is probably the mentality they should be playing with now.
I like that motto. Nothing to lose here, as we are going to go to our second map of this ETF2L round 7 game between Keck Minoin Samurai versus the Sopranos. Can the Sopranos still pull up some upsets? It's awfully close in the rest of the season, so if they can get some points out of Samurai, it's going to be nice to just kind of give them a nice little sucker punch for their troubles, as we're going to a mid, Stephen.
Yeah, a lot more aggression taken from the Samurais early, but that aggression is punished as we do see Blow going down first. It will be Black traded straight back, so it's just a win of positioning straight away from the Samurais. They knew how to take things a little bit better on that mid, and unfortunately for the side of the Sopranos, we'll be going towards the Samurais. We'll see where they want to take it. It's usually going to be Valley, and that's exactly what is happening here. It's a nice double airshot here onto Sills, though, and will thwart that initial push.
This is already fantastic signs compared to the Bagel game. Sopranos made a clean escape from that mid when it was lost out, when they lost Black over on the flank. And he got a trade kill as well, so it wasn't like a complete disaster zone on that flank. And they also dealt with the aggression of Sills coming on from the alley. So already showing much signs of life. This has got to be great for the atmosphere, picking up from that Bagel game.
Yeah, absolutely. But they are always on the back foot, right? They have to worry about defending from these pushes. Oh, yeah, that's not what you want.
Yeah, they dropped down to the floor with SNH. It was a buff scout versus, I guess, I can only assume a non-buff scout. And SNH just turned around, starts shooting the medic, has to pop the Uber. They didn't even kill the scout until like much later, and then they end up backing out and giving up seconds. So not the greatest here for Sopranos, but we can shake it off here as Bloke will go down, and they haven't quite captured second point yet because Black is the one delaying and getting these sort of rando kills.
Yeah, that has given time for those 2 spawns to come out. Actually, that's really, really good from Black here. It's given his team an opportunity to at least get some sort of setup.
They got the drop.
Will take something. No, they take down SNH through main there. Unfortunately, Robert going to die early, so that's going to mean no Uber has any chance to come in. But they do have a chance to try to make something happen. Soldiers coming in, bombing onto that bridge area, trying to do anything. Unfortunately, health too good, and Flick will follow up. It's nice fight by Mac to get a kill on the soldier, and you have to think this is all she wrote, as last couple players are coming in and they will cap up the last. It was a nice shot by Rutu to try to keep them in the game, and a nice block by Black as well to get those spawners up. Unfortunately, it's too little too late. That Uber charge just did far too much.
I think the Sopranos must be taking advantage of my love for the TV show, because I just kind of keep bailing them out in my mind, like, look, that was a nice attempt, like, they got the kill onto Rutu. You see the soldiers, they're getting proactive, they try and do their job and get in, but the damage just wasn't found, and I guess the scouts couldn't really fish for anything, and they couldn't really make anything out of it as well. You know those times where the soldiers just don't find anything for you, so you just have to make your own damage. They couldn't find either ending in that last push, as we're going to another mid.
Yeah, they're a lot more active on this middle point. The Sopranos taking the fight onto the low ground of their side here. It's a more aggressive, more up front, so kind of what I wanted from the last map. It's looking okay for them, but they're not really able to finish up any kills. Mac will go down though, so no Demo Man, no main caller. But they are down kind of the health advantage here. And I was going to say, they could try to go back in if they manage to keep these players up with Black. Going down in that house, a little disconnected from his combo. And, oh no, Happy as well. Chased by SNH. And what was looking actually like a really decent mid from the Sopranos just gets collapsed on. They just left a little too late to leave, I think, was the main problem.
Alright, I'm going to say my first criticism, despite the love of the TV show. I feel like these bombs are very, like, they've been bought from Temu, you know? They look good, they look nice, they look correct, but the second you get them out of the package, they aren't doing the job that you want them to do. Like, there's no damage. You need to be able to actually hit the targets, and there's not really doing that. Yeah, you do get a random kill onto Mac, but that's more like Mac kind of just ignoring these soldiers and pretending they don't exist, and most of the time they don't.
Yeah, but this Pyro he's denying a huge part of this Uber. Corey will eventually go down, but they are going to manage to get Silves for their troubles during this. Uber has ended here, so gives them an opportunity to try to come in here. Stickies are detonating. Actually, it's so good here on the point, but it doesn't seem to matter because Mac is also just going to find 2 straight away.
That's another example there, right at the end, where Black jumps in and kind of threads the needle between everyone. I think it's what happens when he has like 4 people on his screen. Instead of clicking on like a higher priority target, he tries to go for the most damage possible, but they're all spread so nicely on minoin Samurai. Kudos, but it ends up hitting nobody. He's trying to like hit everyone, but everyone's so spaced out, he ends up hitting nothing.
Yeah, you just kind of need to prioritize one target there and get them down as low as possible, do as much damage. Otherwise, your team can't really follow up, and yeah, maybe that's a case of what happened there. But we are on to a third mid here so far. Mid's been won by minoin Samurai, but it's the aggressive bombs coming in. You were worried they weren't doing damage before. We'll see what they can do this time. Black not able to really do too much to Eon here, and he did about 30 damage during all of this. And yeah, it's a messy fight here, but the position just so much better for minoin Samurai. This chase from SNH is just devious. He keeps doing this. He keeps just chasing so deep by himself, Valley, and it just keeps working. He's just not missing a shot.
Yeah, this isn't one of those mids where it's easy to cancel and go and back out at the last moment with your medic. It is very punishing to get kind of wrapped around and jumped on as you're trying to speed and taxi your scout, your medic out, but it doesn't really quite work compared to, let's say, a gully wash. So they have this sort of trend that seems to be happening all Metalworks now, is they just kind of stick around too long and then kind of get picked apart. And also another example actually of just like Black not really finding too much. I think he did try to play like a regular game of TF2 where you maybe find and sync up the players, but Mac was just playing so defensive. Anyway, we go for another push in with the Uber charge. We take out the sentry gun, check, and now Black pie high in the sky, distracting a lot of players, doing a nice little space compared to usual. And Rutu's back on the heavy weapons guy. Where have you been all game? And he will go down, but it does make me scratch my head. Where is everybody else over on the side of Sopranos with this last hold?
Yeah, that bomb out of Black, you really want to try to get your team forward from it, right? Like, if he's going to lose his life and take eyes, you need to get that heavy in position. You need to get your demo man forward doing some damage. You need to get them out of that position where they're just able to kind of hold down your choke points where you're just not able to get on point, because all that happened there was a scout ran off the point and there's just no one to contest, and the heavy's too far back because because he didn't get in during the time when his soldier bombed. So it just feels like a communication issue of when they actually want to go in and play off of their soldiers doing damage or making space at least. We'll see if things change as they do decide to go for a left-hand side mid on the Sopranos, but it's Black and Corey just instantly going down, and this just feels like the tail of the whole map so far.
Well, they have switched sides over on Sopranos, trying to get aggressive on the crates instead, and it was very nicely absorbed by Kek, Minoin, and Samurai, and they will lose out their medic, but they have Rutu behind, but this could be worse than a dead player if he can be successfully ignored. But Flick will indulge him in a nice 1v1. I say 1v1, they're kind of running away, but Rutu actually will get the kill against Flick, so shame on that boy and his 1v1 DM.
Would have been his ace as well. That would have been his 6k for that mid. So unfortunately, yeah, we'll be losing the MGE battle, but not sure how much is going to matter as they have the full Uber advantage and they're finding their way in here. Sil's trying to take that bomb in. Uber comes out straight into spawn, straight onto Happy. Uber does finally finish here, and all that really happens is they lose Sils. These soldiers are actually in a pretty decent position, and the rest of the team trying to get back in, trying to get active, will lose Black during all this, but they managed to get 2 picks from it, and they look like they are confident enough to try to make some sort of push happen. They kind of need to right there on such a back foot during this. They're already 3 rounds down, but no, they decide to back up. That Rutu death is just a little too much. They decide to send it back to last. Going to be even Ubers here, so a slight change in pace.
Yeah, Samurai looking a bit disorientated there. Black was kind of pulling cut eyes and pulling around corners, being really a real nuisance. They also had Rutu behind as well. By the way, Happy's jumping in. He's using the Uber proactive. It's a reverse NA Uber as we pop out from last to just try and gain ground on second. But what's the plan here now that Eon has got his own Uber? Let me show you an Uber, boy, says Mac, as he goes straight in, takes out Robert. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Sure, he dies for the cause, but will still shed those beautiful tears over on the second point, capping it out. So not even capping it out, they've already capped it. It's never been claimed. They're running all the way to last. They might get back cap though. Rutu are a big brain gameplay. Throws out 2 scouts to deal with the back cap, and they will still get the front cap as well. 4-0.
That was so close to capping. I don't think it matters. I think they just recapped the point, but Eon was close to dying there. Yeah, unfortunately, Blake just gets on the point at the very last second. Literally, I think it was maybe the next tick in the game, and you cap that point there for Rutu, but it does not happen, and that's a clean 4-0 thus far for the Samurais in only 20 minutes as well. It's got to hurt.
Yeah. The only thing I could really say about these mids is sometimes Happy does get a nice little lockdown onto Mac, but there are a couple of mids now. Mac has managed to weasel his way out of the main door and actually get connected to the rest of the team. What do Kek, Minoy, Samurai have us installed today? Previously it was a Flick 5k, and now can we follow it up? It's just some defensive gameplay, showing some all-round facets. Bloke is the only far-fledged player, and I guess because of this, they actually managed to get Robert out this time.
Yeah, I think they had to kind of take that because Happy did do actually a decent amount of damage early in that middle, but was not put up the rest of his team. Yeah, what is this soldier doing? Hello?
That was an offer into the gods, as they will accept it with budding arms. They even accept the second point they've given to them quite freely, despite the little kind of back out there. And Mac is in. Mac is having fun, and he's trying to shoot Robert down. They will get the force out of him, and Flick is doing some dance moves on last, but it's basically a victory dance, as we've got the Uber charge bubbling away on Eon, and they're just waiting for all their players to come back up.
Yeah, they look like they want to go for the force here. Getting alive in this lobby area are the Sopranos, sending a soldier through, trying to send some damage in from Happy, trying to make it a little uncomfortable from Eon, but they got balls of steel here.
Blindsider, he actually jumps Eon, and Eon surfs away. It could have been really bad, but Wudge wanted to go for the health package. That gets the drop onto Eon, so no Uber charge for you. But Mac is pretending like he's still got one. He's going to just kind of see if he can toy with these little combo players here.
Looks like they have what is happening. Robert just died to stickies here, and Mac is in just doing so much damage. He's been so characteristic on this this last Mac. Mac feels like he's finally back in his prime. Will finally go down during all this. Eon did manage to keep himself alive. Not going to be a huge uber advantage as Robert is spawning in only a few seconds, but they might want to try to push out here on the Sopranos. They might want to try to make something happening, but these spawners are coming in pretty thick and fast here on Minoin Samurai. I have to say, I think it might be a mistake if they do try.
The soldiers are jumping out. Mission accomplished as they get the kill onto Eon, but they also lose their own medic as well. So this push out seems a bit limp as they now have to limp all the way back. Matt finds the sort of recovery kill onto Rutu as well, so they can maybe still keep fishing for this, setting up on Corey, allowing SNH and Flick to come in. They're already playing the point. No stickies remaining for the last point, sadly, and this lesson in TF2 will be a punishing one. They lose the round and they lose the match and they lose just about every sort of situation here in this entire game.
That was a bit of a speed run of a cast. I'm not going to lie to you. I was not expecting the game to go quite that fast, Turbo.
Yeah, that was 15 minutes of Bagel. I think we had if I try and find it here,
less than 15
11 minutes of Metalworks. This probably was a game of all time, but
this was a bit of a G. Unfortunately, just totally outclassed. Right, you have to expect it though. There is so much more knowledge and experience on the side of the Samurais.
Not Stephen. I've taken the British test. I made a cup of tea before the match, just to kind of get ready for the cast and all this. It's still warm. The game is over, and my cup of tea is still warm. I've been picking at it as well. So this hasn't been sustaining itself. This game has been extraordinarily quick, and I do kind of wonder if a little bit was down to the Sopranos looking a bit tired of TF2. It looked like a very, very soulless sort of game of TF2, if I'm honest.
I mean, in Bagel, they were definitely trying to play to the best of their ability. I don't think there was any silly business happening, but when we got onto Metalworks, especially those last two rounds, they were just trying to go for any hero plays that could have got them back in the game, and those overextensions just don't often work at this level. You have to be very lucky to kind of make something happen. They nearly did a couple of times. They nearly made it work, but yeah, too little, too late. Unfortunately, they were just so outclassed on the mids, and they were just, I don't know. SNH was doing demon work to take down Robert like 2 mids in a row. Nothing the Sopranos can do, and unfortunately, will be picking up at 0 points during this season.
I feel a bit criminal, kind of, kicking sand in the eyes of these ETF2L players. After all, they are playing Prem. They are probably playing at a level that I've never really reached personally. So it's got to be credit where credit is due in that regard. But I only play so harsh because I feel like these gamers were doing just that bit more in the previous games and previous weeks that I've been watching here. Or I don't know, maybe we could flick over to the logs and nope, that is the most 5-0 log I've ever seen. Never mind, let's put that away. Let's actually not look at that. But maybe there's some victories here to have. If you can just think of anything, conjure anything up, Stephen, that you could say positively to kind of keep the Sopranos to kind of maybe look up at the stars and think maybe next season, what would you say to them? What have they done well in this game?
Robert's kind of goated. I feel like he's always my underrated pick. When I saw him a couple of seasons ago, I actually thought he was a really solid medic. Struggled a little bit with dying, but a lot of that time that just comes with trusting your pocket scout and knowing thinking he'll know the best time to leave. Because Robert did get caught a couple times, but I think Robert is a very, very solid player here. And, I got high hopes. Obviously, we have Happy being a bit of a rookie this season. Had some moments where he looked good, hit some nice shots, but yeah, quite obvious that this is his first time in Prem and has a lot left to learn here. But we'll see what they can do, see if they manage to stick together a little bit.
Yeah, everyone, absolutely everybody, even the old Witness Gaming were having those sort of little Cadus sessions on stream where Cadus was talking down to them. It was like, guys, you just got to focus on the fights that you've won. And I mean, they need to take a page out of that very, very, very old Nunya book and think, yes, like, even though we didn't quite get all the bits that we wanted, there were still some little moments here, and there's still loads of moments that they can learn from. But if we had any sort of closing words, Stevens, as we end our little speed run of TF2, what would you like to say?
Yeah, GG's to both of these teams. We've still got a couple of games coming up. That was not the last game for the Keck Minion Samurai, so I believe they still got another game to play, and I think we'll still have a few games to play before we do go to Poland. So, as it is in chat, we have already said, support Poland.tf to see if we can get ourselves a cheeky stage, and yeah, support your local TF2 scene wherever you can.
Magical, magical. I've been Tabs. With me has been the wonderful Not Stephen. Beta is back with us here on production, and a big shout out as well to the two teams that we covered tonight. It was Keck Minion Samurai and the Sopranos as well. We've again got more ETF2L coming up, just like Not Stephen says. Keep an eye on all the social outlets and TFTV if you want to keep up with that. Otherwise, you can just follow us on essentials.tf. We'll see you soon.